Hey everybody, my name's Sean Slaughter, co-founder of WhatsApp. I'm here with Hodgen Mainda, Vice President of Community Development. We're here just to talk a little bit about your career path, what EPB is doing for the community, why Chattanooga's special, and then diversity. We're big on pushing diversity and branding, so we want to know from a leader in the community what you feel about that. So, open question to you, just who are you and why are you interested in speaking with us today?
Yeah, so thanks for the opportunity. Again, Hodgen Mainda, Vice President at EPB, and I handle all our community developments, which is economic development, government relations, and anything external affairs in regards to community engagement. Had the chance to meet the both of you about 6 months ago. Really intrigued with your new concept, right, and venture. Especially we have here at EPB an emphasis in supporting the entrepreneurial community, and diversity, inclusion, and equity is something that's big on our list. I think our community in Chattanooga is changing,
Right.
and with that change, we need to reflect the diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay.
So happy to sit down with you and talk a little bit about what EPB is doing in the community outside of that. But also the direction our community needs to go.
Okay. So, when we met first time, you told us a little bit of your story, how you came to America. Could you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, so moved to America about 21 years ago to go to college. Had the opportunity, actually through my mom and dad, they were educated in the US. And back in the day, late 60s, early 70s, there was an exchange program with the US government and the Kenyan government. And they had to go back upon graduating college. But they quickly saw the value of a U.S. education. And so when they met each other and started having kids, they came to an agreement that if they could afford it, they would do anything possible to send us, with 5 kids, to the U.S. upon graduating high school. I just looked around, and I'm the second in line out of 5 kids, and had an opportunity to go to MTSU through a rugby scholarship that helped my parents a whole lot. Thought I was going to move back to Kenya, but also my parents, said keep an open mind. If you end up moving back, that's fine, but if you end up staying, we're going to be supportive of your decision. And so Tennessee is my second home. My U.S. life has been in Tennessee. I lived in Nashville, Knoxville, and I've been in Chattanooga since 2008. And there was really not one particular thing that made me stay. I would say several things that made me stay. When I moved to Chattanooga, this community was not as it is right now, but I found myself in an opportunity to help this community progress, and that was one of the determining factors that made me stay. The second thing, I met my wife.
Right.
We are both not from Chattanooga, but Chattanooga opened its arms to us, embraced us, and it's a great place to raise a family.
So, coming from Kenya to Nashville, Murfreesboro area, what struggles did you face being not an American citizen, not from here originally, and kind of getting yourself involved within the community, college, and then post-college?
Yeah. So the drive to the airport in Kenya, in Nairobi, the day I was leaving Kenya to the U.S., my dad gave me an envelope with $2,000. And he said, this is the only money that we're going to give you. Go to the U.S. and work really hard. You've
Right.
got 3 other siblings behind you.
Right.
$2,000 I thought would go a long way. To answer your question, I learned really quickly how $2,000, I was able to use $2,000 I think in less than a month.
Wow.
And actually that really helped me. It was a blessing in disguise because I quickly had to get a job. I had no choice, and my first job in the U.S. was landscaping.
Landscaping.
So I landscaped on campus, and I was motivated to make sure that I did not have to ask my mom and dad for any money because of other siblings. But also the culture shock. It was in a good way though. Advice that I would give any student that's a foreign student coming to the U.S. is just soak it in. Take the culture shock as something positive. Get yourself engraved in where you are and learn a different culture. reason being, professionally speaking, we're in a global economy now.
Right.
And so having the opportunity to come to the US, such a powerhouse in so many ways, just come with open eyes and open mind, learn, but also share your experiences, because one thing that I've learned, it's just not a one way. It's not me learning the US culture. It's also the US learning from what I have to offer. And that's another thing that I've liked about Chattanooga is I'm able to share my culture, and that helps make Chattanooga a little more open, right? There are very few African Americans in the professional world in the professional circles that I'm in, but the community has opened itself, and I think that collaboration really helps locals.
Is there anything that you can think of that pinpointed maybe you, from your Kenyan background, African American, that you've brought to the city and you've seen a little bit of a change because of you?
Wow. Can't point to one thing specific, but I just think like the different organizations, and even here at work, sitting with my peers, I think I have a different way of seeing things, right? I can't pinpoint to one particular conversation or project or community initiative, but I think just the mindset. You come from a different culture, different country, a different continent, different part of the world that most of the folks here have never been to. My upbringing definitely different from theirs, and so I think the way my approach may be a little different that may be beneficial, right? I come from a third world to developing country. We take electricity here for granted that we have it, or with EPB's infrastructure and technology, the lights go out and come back on a second later. Back in Kenya, we could go 2 days without electricity if we had an outage or a storm. And so the way, I guess to answer your question, my mindset and the way I approach is a little different that could be beneficial.
Perfect. And can you elaborate a little bit about EPB and what they do, especially for the Chattanooga community?
Yeah, so we're a unique municipal utility, meaning that we provide energy, and historically speaking, municipal utility companies have not had a diverse product, right? Or a diverse set of products that they have. And so EPB is unique, probably the only municipal utility company that provides energy, which is electricity, we're in the telecom, internet, and video. It all started with a challenge that was given to our CEO at the time. He's now retired, and the then mayor of Chattanooga asked him, what does EPB do for the community? And he said, well, we provide electricity. And he said, that's it. But that was thought-provoking, and he came back and he set a strategic research team that just did research as to what else can we do to provide economic growth for our community. And they came up with, how about if we deployed fiber across our electric footprint, 600 square miles. Well, fiber was deployed to every commercial, every office, and every residence in Chattanooga. And at some point during that process, probably in the mid-2000 to late 2000, every customer, EPB customer, had access to the gig. The first city in the US to provide gigabit speed, internet speeds to every customer of EPB. Never heard of. Now different communities are starting to do it. But I say all of that to say that that sparked a lot of the economic growth, and we've been able to attract business and industry to Chattanooga, but also help existing industry grow. The entrepreneurial community is one of them. There's so many startup companies that have come here and set up shop because of our infrastructure, technology, reliability in energy, but also the cost of living, quality of life is great here in Chattanooga.
Right. EPB being a big catalyst for that push of entrepreneurial growth. Why, other than you guys, because I think you're a huge proponent for this growth, what makes Chattanooga special? Because personally, we have felt it We felt that energy, that passion, even going to the emerging leader events where we met you. You and other leaders are just willing to share time, which again sparks ideas and growth. But what do you think makes Chattanooga special? You've lived in a couple cities in Tennessee. What's special about here?
The collaboration. I think leaders in our community collaborate and are willing to work together. I think that's important. Do we have work to do to better collaborate? Absolutely. I don't think we can ever be perfect. Always have room for improvement, but I like the way, as I personally have professionally grown and been in positions to where I represent EPB at the table whenever decisions or community engagements happening. I see our community leaders really work well together. I would say that the community is very welcoming. I would have easily moved back to Nashville, where I've always thought that I would go back. But this community is very welcoming. And I always go back, and I think I mentioned this during the United Way's Emerging Leaders event, that you get out of it what you put into it.
Yes.
Again, to those students who may be coming here for a short period of time, 6 months or 12 months, give 110%. Have an open mind. You have a lot to offer. Don't undersell what you have to offer. There are a lot of people in this community who haven't left the country.
Sure.
And you being here, you may not see your impact because it may be a very short period of time, but you have a lot to offer in regards to, your approach and something that somebody may learn about your culture.
Well, with that 6 to 12 months time frame that our students and our participants are going to be here, you talked about getting involved. What's the biggest, maybe one or two things that somebody could do to become involved, particularly in Chattanooga? Is there something that, from your experience at MTSU that you did that really set you apart in an organization or an idea or a movement that you were part of, that we can help our students become entrenched a lot earlier in their career since they're here 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, so again, I think it would be depending on the interest of that particular student. I always go back to passion, what somebody is really passionate or what they're really passionate about, right? And then that's one way to figure out how to get involved. But I think your organization has an opportunity to actually start some sort of networking for international students who are here for a temporary time. And it could be something engaged with the EDNI building and what all is happening in the EDNI building, right? It could be something to do with the chamber or collaboration with different organizations that would expose the students for the period of time that they're here and give them a different experience, or will give them something of exposure about Chattanooga. I honestly don't think there's anything in place right now like that here in Chattanooga, because your concept is pretty unique, yes, right? And it could be in collaboration with UTC's International Programs Office to figure out how you can integrate their current students to the ones who are here through your program for 6 to 12 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something we do offer. We are doing a mentorship opportunity, and it's not it's recommended. It's not necessary for these students to do that, but we're meeting with community leaders to develop some sort of networking, because we see the value in it professionally as young business professionals. And also my co-founder E-Ray, he is actually from Turkey and came through these J programs.
Yeah.
So we really want to build and develop and help as much as we can.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm very big on the networking aspect, because if you intentionally network, right? Just don't network to network, but if you intentionally network, have the right people in the room who get exposed to these students. I know they're here on a J visa, have to go back, right?
yes, sir.
But I could meet a student that I'm really interested in and I see something, right? Even though they may go back, as an organization, you can keep in contact with that student. You can, you can help them apply for a work visa to come back, right? And so you don't know, with networking, you don't know what's going to come out of the conversation. I've been to events and walking in, I don't know what to expect, or I've said, oh my gosh, I've got one event to go to, I'd rather go home, but I kind of have to go. And you walk out meeting 4 people that you never thought you would have met, and you end up doing business with them.
Absolutely.
And so if you intentionally network, there's no telling what's going to happen with these students. And who knows, they may end up moving back and fall in love with the city.
Right.
One thing that EPB did in partnership with, we helped to bring a conference in town last year, the Alexa conference. It was actually in January of this year. So the Alexa conference attracted a lot of folks from all over the world. So they had about 80 participants. And what we did a part of the programming. We sponsored a tour of Chattanooga. So we started at the Edney building, we went to North Chattanooga, we showed them the aquarium, just kind of different parts of the city. Just to kind of expose, this is our community, I know you're here for the weekend, but this is what Chattanooga is like. Believe it or not, there are 2 or 3 people that said, I'm bringing my family to come and visit. From that, they may end up coming and staying here and enjoying it. So that could be another idea during the 6 to 12 months. Just let's figure out a way of exposing them and seeing what this community has to offer.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great way to wrap it up. Again, we appreciate your time. And if there's anything down the line you need from us, obviously, you know where to ask. So
Thank you.
thank you so much. Have a great
You're welcome.